It's Wednesday, May 28th.
I've always had the greatest admiration for Canada's unique identity, which is recognized across the world.
Strong and free, King Charles noting his affection for Canada in Tuesday's speech from the throne.
We live in the bush, so you got to be ready for it.
Wildfires burning in the prairies have forced people out of their homes and put communities on edge.
We're reviewing their response to our proposal, which was designed to just have a framework to resolve the dispute.
Back to the bargaining table. Canada Post and the union are expected to meet today, trying to end the labor dispute. Almost there. The Oilers are one win away from returning to the Stanley Cup final. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Welcome to your morning, everybody. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
Good morning. Surprise. I'm Teddy Wilson. Good morning, everybody. And?
Good morning. Hi, I'm Kelsey McEwen, live in the city of Toronto. Good morning, you guys. What better way to talk about the weather than to actually get outside and experience it? And at the end of May, I'm wearing a turtleneck in Toronto, so if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the forecast, I don't know what else there is. If you have been to the city of Toronto, if you're from here, you probably recognize where I am. I am right on the corners of Front and York, and Union Station is just to my left. We are at Kelly's Landing this morning to kind of situate you. Now, Union Station, this is a busy hub, and you'll see a ton of traffic here behind me today. Union Station itself, 250,000 commuters travel through it daily. So you add that up over the week, that is 1.25 million commuters per week, and over an entire year, 65 million commuters passing through. And that's just people who are trying to go somewhere, not just getting there to get some food or do some shopping. In terms of into the city itself, you guys, we have 1.7 million people using the TTC. We know public transit is a huge part of cities right across Canada. And in terms of driving, we got like 2 million people driving into the city every single day. So you're going to see a lot of them here behind me as I have your weather report. Good morning for commuting, but it's a little dicey later on. We'll talk about that coming up in your weather forecast. For now, we'll send it back to Teddy with today's news.
I know that intersection well. I drove through it this morning, and it was also not busy there.
No, you weren't cycling?
No, I wasn't cycling.
I got it.
Today. Yeah, let's turn to some of the other top headlines we're following for you. And we'll begin in Ottawa. King Charles delivered the speech from the throne on Tuesday, reaffirming Canada's independence and laying out the government's agenda.
As the anthem reminds us, the true north is indeed strong and free.
So the throne speech reiterated Prime Minister Mark Carney's promises to make life more affordable for Canadians. It's also promising to invest in nation-building projects, boosting Canada's defence industry and diversifying trade. The NDP has said there are some things they could support in the speech, and their 7 votes in the House of Commons would be enough for the Liberals to get it passed and get down to business. And it was a welcome fit for a king indeed during King Charles' roughly 24-hour visit to the nation's capital. He spoke with many of the thousands lining the streets both before and after the throne speech. King Charles inspected the troops and spoke with some of them as well. A 100-member honor guard from the 3rd Battalion of the Royal Canadian Regiment gave him a royal salute. He also received a 21-gun salute. And before departing, the king laid a wreath to mark the 25th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This was King Charles' 20th visit to Canada, but his first as king. U.S. President Donald Trump has made another offer for Canada to become the 51st state. He writes in a social media post, "I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, that it will cost $61 billion if they remain a separate but unequal nation, but will cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. They are considering the offer," end quote. President Trump introduced his Golden Dome missile defense system at an Oval Office event last week. Prime Minister Mark Carney's office has responded with a statement saying in part, quote, "The Prime Minister has been clear at every opportunity, including in his conversations with President Trump, that Canada is an independent, sovereign nation and it will remain one." People forced out of their homes by a wildfire at the northern Alberta community of Swan Hills are uncertain when they'll be able to head back.
Yeah, we saw it and we're like, oh yeah, better get ready.
The order to leave came on Monday night. An update from Alberta Wildfires says the fire is still out of control, burning around 8 kilometers away from Swan Hills. A wildfire in 2023 kept people from Swan Hills out of their homes for more than a week.
This fire is not acting like a typical one. The conditions are just so dry this early in the year.
And to Manitoba now, officials in that province ordered everyone out of the community of Lynn Lake, with the exception of a small group of essential workers. There are concerns a wildfire could jump the highway, which is the only way in and out of the town.
We lose as often as we win on any given day. Successes today are a race tomorrow.
And meanwhile, Saskatchewan's 2 biggest wildfires have merged. This massive fire is now threatening the resort village of Candle Lake. The local fire department is asking the province for permission to build a fire break. Its fire chief says it may be one of the only things that can save the community. Canada Post and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers are returning to the bargaining table today as the union sticks with their job action.
Our strike action is an overtime ban, which was designed not to interfere or minimum disruption to the postal system and the Canadian public.
So they've been in a legal strike position since Friday, but have opted instead for the overtime ban. The union says Canada Post is planning to respond to proposals they made to the Crown Corporation on Sunday. Key issues between the two sides include wages, sick days, part-time staff, and weekend delivery. Canada Post says parcel volumes are down 50% from last year and still dropping. All right, well, the Edmonton Oilers are 1 win away from a return to the Stanley Cup final.
2 of them by Nugent Hopkins, they score! Leon Draisaitl, a one-timer.
Yes, Leon Draisaitl and Corey Perry both scoring on the power play to take Game 4 of the Western Conference Final 4-1. So this gives the Oilers a 3-1 series lead and has them on the brink of another shot at the Stanley Cup. Meanwhile, the Florida Panthers also have a 3-1 series lead in the East and can wrap up their series with a win tonight. This means we could see a rematch of last year's Cup final, where, of course, the Panthers beat the Oilers in Game 7. Fingers crossed. Okay, well, Toronto's Little Canada has launched a new exhibit shining a spotlight on a very special anniversary.
2 weeks ago, we unveiled our 80 Years of Freedom project, which talks about the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands, liberated by the Canadians.
So the latest display was a year in the making and is Little Canada's second historical display after Vimy Ridge. Each display is designed in-house and largely assembled and painted by humans, though some are also 3D printed. Next up for Little Canada is Canada Day, where they say they have a special surprise for the first 1,000 visitors.